Hello and welcome back to my first real video that isn't an introduction. And after doing that introduction, I realized I really do not like the way my voice sounds. But this is more than that. So I'm just gonna push on through. Um, yeah, so I sat down after recording that video and read a couple books of Genesis, which is one of my favorite books, considering it's the first and one of the only ones I've read entirely through. Just going back over it, and God is good. He shows me so many things every time I read it that I didn't notice before, and it truly is the living word. Like, well, this is something I've always loved, where it says that the firmament was created to separate the waters from the waters. That explains the longevity of life that people argue. How did they live so long? Well, they had a shroud of mist or really thick, whatever the firmament would be. Just see it as like a really thick cloud that stops harmful rays, I guess. And I don't know. I don't know. Understand it completely, but I can understand that it would help shield people from those. Um, and it would also explain the dinosaurs. Reptiles live to be. I mean, it's been proven that if you put a reptile on a patio, it'll grow to the size of the patio. But if you put it in a cage, it'll grow to the size of the cage. What if they didn't have? What if they could live a lot longer? Wouldn't they grow to be dinosaur size? I guess. But just something I was thinking about. But then I read down on Genesis 1:21 where it says God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which waters abounded according to the kinds, and every winged creature according to the kinds, and God saw that it was good. And then I thought about it. Those sea creatures had a purpose. They have a purpose. Everything has a purpose, even though sometimes we don't like it when people get bitten by sharks or whatever happens. People get stung by eels. They have a purpose, and God says it plainly right there. He saw that it was good. That just made me. I just love that. And so I kept reading, and then I got down to the part where Adam and Eve was created on the sixth day, and it reminded me of when people would argue how long was each day. Um, the fact that God created Adam and Eve on the sixth day is kind of proof that it was 24-hour periods, because how old would Adam be and Eve be on the seventh day if they lived through the sixth day? So I believe that it is 24-hour periods of time and not millions of years, which would be crazy. Then I got through Genesis 2, and I got down to the part where Adam, he put Adam to sleep and took one of his ribs out and made Eve. And then after reading that, I listened to a couple sermons from one of my favorite pastors, and he was talking about how the rib has a special tissue. So I went and researched that at answersingenesis.org, and there is literally a tissue around the rib that regenerates itself. I guess during surgeries they take out the rib bone to create a graft from, but they leave the tissue membrane intact, and it'll just grow your rib back. Then I really started thinking about it. I was always so jealous of people in the Bible that got to witness they were like in the stories in the Bible, because that was proof to them that God was real. And I used to struggle with that a lot, not having enough evidence nowadays that God existed, God was real. But this is just more proof that, I mean, we didn't know about this till 20 years ago, maybe. There's no way they knew that you could remove a rib from the tissue perfectly, leave it intact, and it would grow back. We know that now. It's something we have the privilege of knowing. And then it reads 24, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. That's something it seems like the world is struggling with really hard nowadays, and it says it pretty plain and simple right there for me. if you know what I'm talking about. Um, and they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. Um, I don't know if it was that they were naked or if there was some kind of realization they came to, um, or the world just like sin just fell on the world and like everything changed and they saw it changing and realizing what they've done. So I'm going to end the first video here, and I realize I say a lot. Uh, did it again. I'm working on it. Please don't make fun of me. It is kind of funny though, so I guess you can make fun of me. I will be back with the next video shortly. Bye.